At the very beginning of Parshat Chaye Sara, Avram finds himself in need of a place to bury Sarah, and goes to ask for land from Bnei Chet and eventually Ephron. However, an interesting exchange occurs. Rather than go directly to Ephron, from whom he wants to purchase Merat HaMachpelah, he reaches out to the general population and asks them to go on his behalf. Ufigu li b'Ephron ben Sochar. Go ask Ephron to sell the cave. Why doesn't Avram go himself? Well, both Sforno and Ramban ask the same question, and suggest that it was a gesture of respect for the wealthy Ephron. Similarly to Navot, a wealthy person in Sefer Melachim, who did not want to sell his ancestral vineyard, so too the commentator suggests that the general characteristic of a wealthy and respected man is that he does not want to sell his land, and thus, as a gesture of respect, rather than going straight to him and making an impertinent request, Avram sent the people of Ephron's native land as messengers. Thus, we find a paradigm for using others as intermediaries and distancing ourselves in the context of showing respect to a high-class person. However, there is another paradigm of respect which seems to be slightly different. If even a person basar v'dam was deserving of such honor from Abraham, and that honor was expressed through interacting at a distance through a messenger, surely HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate receiver of respect and honor, should be approached through intermediaries. However, in Judaism that is staunchly not the case. We do not approach God by praying to angels or saints or anything else. Rather, we through davening approach God directly, one-on-one. So, if Avram demonstrated that respect involves not going right up to whom we are asking something from, how do we justify our interaction with God? Perhaps the Torah is trying to teach us a fundamental difference between Basar V'Dam and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem sometimes seems so unapproachable because he is in heaven and we are on earth. However, looking at the difference between how we interact with a respectable person compared to with Hashem, it is clear that the one on high is really much more accessible. On earth, with humans, we must show respect in certain ways, as Avram did, which leads to a distance from higher status people. Avram's interaction with Ephron is perhaps designed to starkly contrast our interaction with Hashem, and thus demonstrate the profound point that even though Hashem is granted more respect than any human on earth, we nevertheless are not distanced from him. On earth, respect distances, but on high, respect actually brings us close to Hashem. Of course we have to show respect to God, but that respect manifests itself in other ways, as chosen by Hashem, because he allows us to approach him directly, more directly than would be appropriate on earth, through davening. Thus, this contrast of Ephron with Hashem makes us realize more poignantly and value more greatly how special it is that Hashem has such a close relationship with us. Nevertheless, it was not always like this. Davening itself is a replacement for korbanot, sacrifices in the Beit HaMikdash. We have always been close to Hashem, but in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, we related to him in a way more reminiscent of Avram's relationship with Ephron. The Beit HaMikdash was staffed exclusively by Kohanim and Leviim, and represented a much more ritualized distance, and thus a more classically respectful way for the average person to relate to Hashem. Having to go through such an elegant, regal, and royal, court-like process to approach Hashem added to his honor. Once the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, regularly scheduled davening came into play. At the same time that we gained a much more personal relationship with Hashem, he was, in a way, mochel on a bit of the respect given to him. Hence, yes, today we weave this amazing relationship with Hashem that is only possible because he is not a Melech Basar V'Dam, and rather the one on high who can relate to us however he wants. But at the same time, we have to realize that something fundamental is lacking in our relationship, precisely because we have become so close. It is similar to the relationship between a student and a very respected teacher. At some point, they may become so close that they are more like friends than a teacher and a student. In one sense, that is amazing for their relationship, but on the other hand, something is lost of the awe created through the student-teacher distance. With the brilliance of davening came the loss of the regality and awesomeness that was attributed to Hashem through the respect and ritual of the Beit HaMikdash. Thus, we can all yearn for the day when we will be able to clearly feel God's presence with us on a close personal level, along with a complete restoration of the honor he is deserving of, with the coming of Mashiach, may he come b'mehera v'amen.